Okay, this is the second half of chapter.
You forgot to video record it.
Chapter 11. This is why you don't sit on that side, Desmond. So,
I wasn't talking about
7 through 9 is stuff you basically plug in your calculator. The original problem is here, here, and here. I already did it, as you can see, but those are all calculator problems. However, number 10 is not a calculator problem because of the cube roots. If you plug the cube roots in your calculator and you get a decimal and you write down a decimal, it will be wrong. Actually, this one would not be a decimal anyway, but you do need to be able to do cube roots on your own. So this is cube root of 7. This is, what would this one be, guys?
Plus 2 and square root of 7.
2 cube root of 7
minus 3 square root of 7.
minus, yeah, 3
3
cube root of 7.
So the ones that are circled are in front. Why is there like 3?
Yeah, the triples go in front.
Because it's cubed instead of...
Because 2 times 2 times 2 actually has 8, actually has a cube root of 2.
Wait, what about
3 times 3 times 3 actually
You
has,
forgot about the other 2. No, wait.
takes a triple to get out. Girls, I don't care who it is, if this doesn't work, we're moving back. Alright, so what would this be, guys?
0.
1 of these plus 2 of these minus 3 of those is 0 of those, and 0 of anything is just a 0. So, actually the calculator would have worked on this one, but the one on the test is probably not this one, so you do need to be able to do the cube.
Probably.
Why'd you do that?
I don't remember what the one on the test is, I'm just
You could look it up.
guessing. I could go find it, but
I believe it's over there. So
it'll
you know
take.
where I went to.
No, there's a lot of other tests over there.
You do just kind of leave them there.
Most of those are worksheets.
You gotta work on it.
No. Number 11? Question mark? 11?
Yeah. We only have 16.
Why do you have to have your antenna on?
16.
What? How many are we doing?
No, we have 16 left. You said we're doing 20 problems.
That was a
We've
guess.
only done 4.
Why do you have antennae?
We'll do one more square root problem.
Makes her happy.
Now I just want to plug her into a battery. I just have the urge to plug this into a battery.
Will's threatening my life. Will, I heard that. He's threatening to kill his peers. Squilly, that's not right. And who cares? See, I didn't do He knows it's true, that's why he didn't.
I plead the fifth.
Of course he
Can we use a calculator on this one?
did. Yeah, we use it for like.
In some ways,
A little bit. Not completely.
Well, you can do it for the.
You can do it for the numbers. So if you plugged in square root of 32, for example, it should give you 4 square root of 2. But what do I do with the a's?
It doesn't give you that.
they kind of leave.
You just leave them alone.
Oh, it's because of math. Write it down.
If you plug in square root of 32, you get 4 square root of 2. So that's where that came from. And the a's, I didn't really do anything with them.
Why isn't my calculator letting me? Oh, got
Okay, if you plugged in square root of 8, you're going to get 2 square root of 2.
2a squared root
Okay, we talked about this yesterday. Do you guys remember?
eight.
What do we do with 8 to the third, though?
Divided by 2.
You do 3 divided by 2, which is 1.
The remainder of
Yeah, we did that one a lot, right?
So,
So
is there
it's
remainder on the outside?
1 remainder of 1.
What?
No, it's 1 with remainder 1. Goes in order.
1.
If you plug in square root of 18, it's 9 times 2, so it'll be 3 square root of 2. How about a to the 5th, though?
You have 2 a's on the
You
outside
do.
and 1 a.
Well, what-
2 remainder of 1.
Right, we do 5 divided by 2. So it's kind of like this. 2 goes into 5 twice
the remainder of 1.
with the remainder of 1. Okay, we can add and subtract like terms. Are any of these like terms?
Yeah. 4 to a.
Are they
So
all
there'd
like
be
one?
6.
Okay.
All of them.
They're actually not all like terms.
Only
Um,
one is squared.
The a squared makes this one different. But these two are the same, right?
So it'd be 6a squared.
No, that's multiply. 4a
6a.
plus 2a is 6a squared of 2a. And what do I do with the other guy?
And plus 3a squared.
Tack him on there. That's a hard one, huh?
No.
Hopefully.
Yes. It wasn't.
Hopefully.
Don't tempt fate.
I'm never gonna get that on my final.
Well, just think of it this way, the more that you get, the more points I give you. So even if you like write this part down, I'll give you like a couple
What if it's
points.
wrong?
Well, I wouldn't give you points if it's wrong.
Well, okay, so if you do all of the steps, but you still get it wrong, you get points for doing it.
If you do anything right, you'll get at least 1 point.
So if you set it at.
So usually what I do on the finals is I make each problem with 4 points. So if I say, well, she did it half right, then I would give you 2
Because
points.
like she showed her work how she would do it,
Right.
but it didn't get work right.
Right. Okay, how do we do, this would be a good note. How do we do number 12?
B2 equals C2.
A2 plus B2 equals C2. So what would I write for this one?
6-2 plus 10-2 equals X2.
Wait, is C always
The hypotenuse. C is always the big one because the two little ones should add up to the big one, right? A squared, the two legs, A squared plus B squared should add up to the hypotenuse, C squared. The two little ones should always add up to the big one.
C is the longest leg.
Girl.
Therefore, it can't
136.
But it's true.
Now what do I do?
1
Square root it.
Square root it. Somebody plug that in the calculator.
2 square root to
11.66.
34.
Okay, I don't want that version, I want
2
that.
square root to 34.
Sometimes they will ask you for the decimal, so if they don't tell you, I guess you can do whatever you want to do. Sometimes, usually though, we do the square roots.
I can't change the mode.
You can.
Girl, I don't have that. No, it
Okay.
doesn't have a mode.
We've got 3 more questions in chapter 11. So we're getting close here.
And then how many more questions in chapter 12?
I'm gonna guess
6. 1, 2, 3, 4,
7 or 8. I'm gonna guess 8. Alright, what number am I on?
7. The 7th for today.
Okay, here's another formula coming up. Find midpoint.
Oh, it was like
This graph.
it was like at
No.
y2 minus
You can do it
something
without a
over
graph.
2. Was
Oh.
it? Is it like y2 or was it like yeah like
Come on, spit it
that
out.
was it the
Oh,
x
was
one?
it
It
the-
was like
X2
x
divided by
minus
2.
something divided by 2.
X
Okay.
plus X divided by
The midpoint is the point in the middle,
Can't see?
and numbers in the middle are the averages of the numbers on the outside. So you want to average the x coordinates.
Yeah.
Oh, let me write the formula.
Yeah.
Let me write the formula. This is for your notes.
X plus y over 2.
No, x
No.
plus x divided by 2. You average the x coordinates,
So -4.
So it'd be x1
and
x2.
you average the y coordinates.
Negative 4 divided by 2.
And that's just 5.
So on this problem, it would be -5 plus -3
Wouldn't that be -4?
over 2, and 1 plus 4
Wouldn't that be -4?
over 2, which equals -5 minus 3 is -8
That.
divided by 2
Negative
is -4, comma 1 plus 4 is
5
5,
over 2.
5 over 2.
Yeah.
I don't really care how you write. You could write mixed number, decimal,
Those are
okay, 2 more.
Quite crazy.
Okay, we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
If you count chapter 12, that's 6 chapters, so.
Okay, so we're going to 29.
We'll never escape.
Maybe we'll just do
house rule?
Probably somewhere.
Elementary rule.
No, elementary is massive. It is.
No.
Well, what's past college? Career rule?
I don't know. I know that colleges, I think.
It's 14.5.
No.
No.
What are you watching?
Okay, what's the first step on 14?
Square.
If the whole left side is under the square, yeah, you want to square it.
So it's x plus 5. Wait, I love this.
X equals 0.
No,
Equals 5.
no.
Equals 5. 625.
Oh, time.
25 times 25, right?
I don't remember what you do next though.
Oh,
So
Minus
620.
5. Oh, I remember. Minus 5.
X equals 620.
Minus 5. X equals 620. Okay, I love these. I literally love these. Can I do the
Okay.
next one by myself?
I should warn you,
Wait, never mind.
just
Yeah,
do it
harder.
and then I won't say it yet. I should warn you that sometimes you get extra answers on these, so you should plug your answer back and make sure it works. 620 plus 5, 625. Square that equal to that. You guys weren't listening to what I just said.
Hey, I listened to you. You said to plug it back
X
in to
equals
make sure you got the
11.
right answer. Because sometimes you can get different answers on these.
That's right.
I know the answer.
Will?
Hey,
Hey, on
I'm not-
number
we're not
15,
there
do
yet.
you minus 8 first?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can I do this one?
Not yet.
You said two. Actually,
Stop.
I'm getting warm here.
I like the hard ones. These are not hard. I know. There's one like 2 minutes.
You like the hard ones?
I like the ones where you get to the
Yeah,
bottom.
these are pretty easy.
Yeah, these are easy.
What?
These,
I didn't know
we didn't do
that.
much bigger. The only thing bigger that we did was like put a 4 right there.
Yeah, I like those.
It's just one more step.
Although,
Okay.
actually, the biggest one would be like if we put a 4, like 4
I
plus
still
3.
don't understand that one chapter.
It's literally the easiest ever. And she's like, I'm gonna like she's literally
It was
one
like
about
the, it was like the,
Okay. Emily, what do you do now?
Square.
which one was it?
What's,
X minus 2 equals 9.
whoops.
Plus 2. X equals 11.
Oh, I didn't. This is why I had a problem.
Okay, if we plug it back in, does it work? What's 11 minus 2?
9,
9.
Square root of 9
3.
3.
plus 8? Not that.
No.
So
Oop.
this one is, well, if you would have got this far, I would have taken off 1 point. What's the final answer?
No.
No solution.
Oopsie.
All about broken up.
No, I said I would give you only
What?
minus 1 point, not minus 4
Wait, why was
points.
it no solution?
Do you see?
Because we got an extra, sometimes when you use the square trick, you get an extra answer. And it didn't work when we plugged it back in, so.
X minus 2 equals 9 plus
We did it right, but when you plug it back in, it doesn't work.
It didn't work, bro.
That's why I always have to check.
That didn't work.
I don't remember.
Can't we
what
just
I-
You can check on any equation, you can check, but you especially need to on these kinds.
It was like the dumb like.
Like terms. Adding like terms?
Oh, I found it.
Like adding?
This is going to be hard for me because I never
It was
actually
in
check my
parentheses.
answers.
Okay, we're on to chapter 12.
Hey, I'm having more of those.
I'm starting to feel very overwhelmed with the math part final thing.
Just don't be.
We get a whole
mean.
page of cheat sheet.
That does not help.
Yeah, it does.
At least it's not a half page. Because Miss Dana is special.
Literally the other page got that.
Well, a half page is more than enough for me.
Just because you have
Well, I
notes
really-
doesn't
I
make
glitched it all
mean you
out.
understand them.
I just,
This is all I have.
I'm weird and I like to do robotics.
Okay, now I do want to look at the test now because
It was like honey.
I don't remember how far I went on the test.
Texas just a test.
You've gone too far.
I'll show you the front page.
It's rotten.
Well, as long as you don't do like over 100, like Mr. Olsen.
Be it right.
What?
Is there a front and back? Okay,
It's 3 sides,
I was gonna be like
or
Mr.
6
Jordan.
sides front to back.
I was gonna be like,
If
Mr.
only I had a
Jordan.
photographic memory.
We kind of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
I'll try this.
19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 44, 1, 42, 43, 44. 44.
I'm not gonna get a single.
That's it?
At least it's
That-
not 90.
That's not true.
Some
Some of them are much
We're
easier
on
than others.
16.
Especially the
We're
I
on
know.
chapter
We're
12.
on chapter 12, so we can go on to number 1.
especially the midpoint.
I'll do some of those.
Okay, looks like I only put a few on this chapter, so
Wow.
1, 2, 3.
So we're almost
You're
done?
not gonna get Jude. I'm gonna go.
okay, so we'll just all of these the directions are solved, okay? Let's do 4x 2x plus 1 x minus 7 equals 0.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't actually
That
remember.
Okay, so
only,
this,
that only looks hard, it's not actually hard.
Well, you're the math teacher.
I know.
Obviously, if you didn't know how to do, then you didn't have exactly.
Okay, you guys did this like
A couple days ago.
No, you distribute
a week ago.
I forgot.
You did it like
I
a week
totally
ago.
forgot.
I also forgot. Distribute.
Once you do
Okay,
that problem with us,
It's equal to 0,
Yeah.
so you just need to choose x values that make it 0.
Oh, eat that.
So what x value, for example, could I put right here? Make
7.
7. And if this is 0, it doesn't matter what these are, because 0 times whatever is still 0. So 7 is one of the answers.
Oh, yeah.
Now let's see if you can remember the other.
Oh, yeah.
Now what?
Oh,
Like
it's
0, always one of them is going to be 0, right?
0, well, not always, but on this one it is. Do you know why?
So it's
Is it the 4 one? It's the one in the 4.
Because if you put a 0 right here, 0 times 4 is 0 times. If there's an x on the outside, 0 is one of them. And this was the hardest to remember right here.
Would
Okay.
it be negative 2?
Yeah.
So if it was that, what would the answer have been?
Negative 1.
-1.
Negative 2.
The answer is actually, though, because of the 2, it's -1/2.
Oh, okay.
You okay?
Stop lying. Oh, please. I get it now.
I was drinking water.
But I'm not gonna get it.
Well, you're supposed to look at that example and then think, okay, this is how
Yes.
we got that from
How do you
that,
do it?
and then just
Do
repeat.
you not do 4x?
If you put a 0, the 4 doesn't matter. If you put a 0 in for x right there, all that becomes 0.
You can put 0 for
Hmm.
Okay, Marion.
Yeah.
If a 0 is right here,
Look in the wind.
the what?
That don't sound good.
Uh-oh, this one's hard.
Oh, is it the A, B? Oh, it's the quadratic formula.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Number 3, you have to use quadratic formula.
No.
You can do it on-
So if factoring doesn't work, you have to go use quadratic formula.
Put that on.
You can always use quadratic formula, but you have to, like on number 2, you could use quadratic formula, but there's an easier way on
But
that,
like
called factoring.
quadratic formula is.
Quadratic formula works every time.
Is
Okay,
Wait, how do you put it in a thing then?
oh, no, never mind. Sorry, it wasn't quadratic.
Yeah, I was like, you can't even put it.
The next one is quadratic formula. There we go. We'll call that good. You could use quadratic formula on 3. I would not recommend it though. The next one will be quadratic
How do
formula.
you put that one in a thing?
We'll talk about it in a bit.
Also, why can't you even do anything because I don't know?
Oh, that one. I can't take you seriously with those antennas.
Then don't look at them. Oh no.
They're screaming
It's not that
attention.
difficult, Will.
They're shiny metal
No.
wires. They're screaming attention.
I don't
Okay, we'll just,
Like my cowboy hat.
okay. Number 2, does anybody have a bright idea for number 2 besides quadratic formula?
No, I literally don't know.
Oh, whatever adds up to, whatever multiplies into that adds up to the middle.
Right,
Which
whatever.
is -6.
-6. So,
And then you have to do it 0.
So basically x equals 1.
I should change colors. Um,
Wait, no, x equals plus.
Would it be
Negatives.
plus or minus?
Remember the factoring chapter? What multiplies into 36 that adds up to negative 12?
Oh.
Negative 6 and negative 6.
Math is so.
So
not
x
good.
equals positive?
X equals positive 6.
No.
If you know your times tables well, it makes the problems a lot easier.
Yeah.
And if you're good,
Times.
and if you're good at adding and subtracting, it makes
Wouldn't you
it
do
easier
x
too.
equals 6 and then like x equals 6?
Well, it's not too different. That's the same answer, so you don't need to
So
write it twice.
so could you put like x equals 6 squared?
No, that's 36. 6 is the answer.
Number 3 doesn't have ABs.
It's the answer twice, but that still is only one answer.
Mr. Jordan, does number 3 have ABs and Cs?
Kind of. I
It
wouldn't.
doesn't have a b.
It doesn't have a, well, if it doesn't have a b value, you could use b equals 0.
I did this whole thing wrong.
But the easiest, and c, by the way, you'd have to bring 45 over to this side.
Negative 40.
Would be negative 40. I wouldn't do that if I were you guys though.
Obviously.
If you just have an x squared without all this other x stuff, you can just get x squared by itself. That's the easiest way.
That's what I did.
Quadratic formula would work, but a would be 2, b would be 0, doesn't exist.
Oh yeah.
C would be negative 40 when you bring this guy back. Minus 40.
But you only use the only.
Okay, but it's easier on this one to get x squared by itself.
So is it 5 squared root? Yeah, I did it right, guys.
X squared is 20.
Square root.
Okay, square root of 20
Is it
uh,
5 square root?
is
2 square root 5?
2 squared of 5.
Dang
Okay.
it, I put-
Here's something that we're likely to forget. When you do that square root trick, you have to put a plus or minus right there.
Wait, but if you did use quadratic formula, what would you use if it b squared minus 4ac?
It would be 0.
B is 0 on this one. There's no x term like this. It's a on 2. A would have been 1. B would have been negative 12. C would have been 36.
Yeah, but what part of it do you? Or do you
On
just
3, A is 2. B, there's an x term. So B is 0. And C, you need to bring this guy back, so it's like this. C is negative 40.
Yeah, but what do you use the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to.
Okay, on 4 I purposely made it so it doesn't factor. So you have to use quadratic. So I made A is 5, B is 2. We're gonna pause while you guys work on that. We got one, number 5 is gonna be our last question
Why'd you do that to me?
for fun.
Oh boy. How many points do we need on 5?
5. 1 would be the vertex. Remember gonna find the vertex. And then you choose 2 points close to the vertex on either side. Alright, do you guys have 4? Alright, keep going. I'm gonna write down, I'll see what I get. Negative B. square root that we have to worry about. I'll put it up here.
One's 2 6 over 10.
This is 24 for the square root. Did you guys get that? And the square root of 24
I got 29.
Is a decimal.
is, well, no, we're not doing decimals, well.
Oh.
Square root of 24.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no.
4, that's a negative 1 right there. Did you guys miss that? That's a negative 1. So this would be 4 plus 20 is 24. And it would
2
be
to the 6.
2 squared of 6 over 10. Now there is one more thing I could do to that.
I guess you could.
All of these are divisible by 2. You guys see that? So you could divide everything by 2.
Isn't that the answer?
That's all you can do.
Now what? So I have to get negative 2 plus or minus. Oh, you can negative. Wait, don't you got negative 2 minus.
You can't solve it, you can't simplify it because you can't add the square root of 6 to anything.
Oh yeah.
So this is as far as you can go.
Where'd you get minus 1?
I divided by 2, like reduce the fraction. Divided by 2.
They are all divisible.
They're all divisible by 2.
So you go 2 divided by 10 equals negative 0.2.
No, just, it's like reducing a fraction. 2 over 10 becomes 1 over 5. And, but that 2 over 10 becomes 1.
How do you reduce fractions in a calculator?
My hair's do you like shooting?
Just plug it, just divide them both by 2.
Oh,
Or plug it in as, anyways, okay,
Look at my white tail.
Gracie,
Yes.
Jasmine, sit up.
Wake up, wake up.
Okay, Gracie, where is the vertex for number 5?
Wait,
I
This
believe
was like
that
last
is-
Tuesday.
Isn't that left one down to
Negative 1.
Yes.
Oh,
So where would it be then?
negative 1, negative 2.
Okay, she said left 1, down 2. That's where the vertex is at. So when we go to graph it, that's kind of like our starting point.
Wait, left 1 and left.
Negative 1, negative 2 is our starting point. Then do you guys remember what we did after that?
Plug it in.
No, you
To
do
make a
like
table.
5 others
Or
or 4
make
others.
Okay, well, one day we made 4 others, but the next day we only made 2 others. You guys remember why?
Oh, because you just copied
Because
it.
you can kind of mirror it over.
Because you could do
So what
0,
x's
1.
should, right, something close to the vertex x value is what you want. If I plug in 0, 0 plus 1
Negative 1.
is 1, squared is 1, minus 2 is negative 1. If I plug in 1,
2.
1 plus 1 is 2, 2 squared is 4, 4 minus 2 is 2. And that's really all you
Did you
need.
pick stuff close to
Yeah, it shows x values close to the vertex x value.
which one's the vertex? Left or
The vertex
Oh yeah.
is like the bottom of the parabola.
Wait. Does that count as 1?
Yeah,
Like every time?
yeah, vertex counts as 1 point, and then we did 4 other points besides that.
Can you do one that's longer? Or is that the hardest one?
There's only one of those. There's like one of
They're
every,
asking.
there's like one of everything on that test.
How many questions are there?
I just said it was like 43.
That was crude.
Now we got that recorded,
That was a
Jasmine.
bad
We
one.
got that recorded, Jasmine, so we can.
He was silent.
We
Okay.
got that on camera.
Negative 1, negative 2, right there. 0, negative 1. 1, 2. And then remember to do the mirror point.
No.
Yummy.
No, Jasmine, no.
You can literally just flip it over to the left side.
Oh man.
I'm thinking of
And it's all lopsided.
I didn't draw my graph very
Can you
well.
just go right up a little bit?
I wonder if that will miss the same as OCD. If you're watching this, please tell me if it does.
The end.